In the past few years, the implementation of electronic tipping devices for basic jobs has seemed to increase across the United States. Why is the usage of these point of sale or POS payment tablets increased? And why are they such high tipping amounts? Tipping has become deeply ingrained in the American economy, and customers are incentivized to tip for a multitude of reasons, including status, public opinion, or convention. So it is no longer a matter of choosing whether or not to tip, but rather how much to. Looking at the economics that exists behind this phenomenon, many factors have allowed for these circumstances to develop. During the COVID-19 pandemic, consumer and producer desire for contactless payment provided by these digital point-of-sale machines increased, shifting the demand curve to the right and increasing the quantity supplied, as shown in this graph. These electronic tipping machines are also crucial in accommodating the shifting nature of market transactions. Over time, the taste and preferences of buyers have shifted away from physical currency in favor of new payment forms such as credit cards, debit cards, and digital payments, as shown in this graph. Due to the shift in preference, the demand and usage of cards and electronic payments has increased. Electronic POS systems are a complement to these new payment forms, and thus the quantity supplied for POS systems has increased, as shown in this graph. This explains in part why these devices have become more prevalent, but the high tipping amount must also be investigated in economic terms. The high tipping amounts displayed by POS systems are likely based on the principle that opportunity cost of lost time to enter a lower tipping amount outweighs the incentive to save money on the bill. Essentially, consumers are incentivized to quickly select one of the given high amounts rather than undergo the difficult and time-consuming process of entering their own tip. Additionally, business owners have implemented these devices because they aid in cost reduction. The minimum federal wage for tipped employees is typically far below the minimum wage for non-tipped employees. As long as the employer can reach the state minimum wage requirements by paying employees with tips, the cost of labor for the employer is only $2.13. This effectively uses a non-binding price floor set below the market equilibrium wage. If tips were not involved, one might expect that over time, the wages for these services would increase to meet the equilibrium wage. However, the introduction of these higher tipping amounts for basic services allow for wages to be increased to or above the equilibrium wage at no expense to the employer, increasing the producer surplus by lowering the cost of labor at the consumer's dime.